Hi, and welcome to UsagiShade, a new segment on the channel all about showcasing your favorite obscure games. Since this is the first gaming video on the channel, I figured I'd start things off with a list of the top 10 Japanese games for the PSP. The library of games is extremely massive, so picking just 10 games to showcase for a list like this was a bit difficult on my end. That being said, there is potential for a second list if the demand is high. Anyway, without further ado, here are the top 10 Japanese games for the PSP. I'll be honest, despite this being so low on the list, I genuinely enjoy this game in all of its charm. Seto Get You, or better known as Ape Escape here in the West, has you running around after a wide variety of crazy apes, each with their own distinct appearance and personality. If you've ever played an Ape Escape game before, you normally play as the main protagonist, Spike, and try to capture each and every ape using your net, as well as a plethora of other gadgets. In this game, however, you capture apes by playing as other apes. The fun part for me was discovering all the different apes and their unique abilities, as well as seeing them mess around and just hilariously taking their role very seriously. I think it's a great game if you're a fan of the original Ape Escape and its many sequels. I'm not usually one to play pet simulation games, but let's be real. Dogs tug the heartstrings like no other. Much like Nintendogs for the Nintendo DS and 3DS, Dog Happy Life has you taking care of your own dog by showing affection, responding to them, and watching your bond grow over time. You can choose from a wide variety of breeds to raise, as well as accessories for them to put on, including furniture for your room. It's very straightforward. You just watch and take care of dogs until the day ends. It makes for a good little distraction here and there. A very popular rhythm game in Japan, Taiko Tatsujin has you beating a drum with just two options. Red indicates hitting the center of the drum, while blue indicates hitting the rim. On the PSP, the face buttons emulate hitting the red symbol, while the triggers hit the blue. You might think that would make the game easier, but you'd be surprised with how disorienting it can get with just two symbols. Overall, there's over 69 great songs, each varying in difficulty, so you'll be able to ease into the more expert level of playing the game, if you're into that sort of thing. Plenty of you might already be familiar with Puyo Puyo, especially those who are a fan of Sega IPs like Sonic the Hedgehog, where Puyo Puyo has been referenced in games like Sonic Mania or Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. The game features a colorful set of characters and different playstyles, however the main objective remains more or less the same all throughout. Once you group 4 Puyos of the same color, they'll pop and allow other Puyos to fall in their place. It gets compared to Tetris very often for how it's laid out, but whereas Tetris requires you to complete a horizontal line and clear a space, Puyo Puyo allows for you to chain as many combos as you continuously set up each color however you see fit. There is a story mode you can play through, however it is possible to play multiplayer for up to 4 players if you have the means to do so. A very unique take for Final Fantasy at the time of its release, Type 0 was one of the first times the series gave real-time combat a try. You play as any of 14 characters, with up to 3 at a time when on the battlefield. You're able to switch between each character on the spot, so you're not only tethered to just one playstyle. This helps when one of your party members aren't fit for a certain enemy, or if one of them die in combat. My favorite characters are Deuce, Remp, and Ace. They're very different in combat and allow for a lot of flexibility. The story will eat up about 38 hours to finish, so the wide variety of playstyles will keep things from getting too stagnant throughout your time playing. Another rhythm game on the list, except this one has a plethora of titles released on the West, making the series a bit less obscure in comparison. The main point of the game is very clear. Choose any song, as well as any Vocaloid you wish to perform, and try to hit each note on time based on the corresponding face buttons. The difficulty ranges from easy to extreme, which at that point becomes nearly impossible if your hand-eye coordination isn't so good. Project Diva Extend is more or less a deluxe version containing more content than Project Diva 1 and 2 for the PSP respectively. You're able to change each Vocaloid's outfit, as well as watch them live their normal lives when visiting them in their room. It can be very fun challenging yourself with higher difficulty as you progress, which becomes less overwhelming the more you play each song. This is a turn-based RPG where you play as any character you register. You can decide its appearance, class, and even their voice. At any point of the game, you're able to play as any of the 3 characters you registered at a time, while also being able to change your party whenever you see fit. There is an English patch for the game, and I'd recommend playing the first game for the PSP as well in order to avoid getting lost. All in all, you'll find yourself getting sucked in once you progress, and it's worth taking a look at if you've never played a 7th Dragon game before. Released very late in PSP's lifespan, Blackrock Shooter is an action RPG based on the anime of the same name. The gameplay is hit or miss depending on how much you can tolerate repetition and are okay with mission-based objectives. However, it does have its moments. One of the main reasons this game is so compelling is its story, and you find yourself feeling this melancholic sensation as everything starts unfolding towards the end. The icing on the cake for me were the boss fights, and how the main protagonists interacted with each one of them. They're generally the most exciting parts at the end of each stage, giving you an incentive to keep playing. It's an emotional ride all throughout, and I definitely recommend you give it a try. Imagine yourself running around in Akihabara, Tokyo, taking people's clothes off. Well, that's what this game is more or less about. Akiba's Trip Plus is a semi-sandbox game where you basically remove and steal people's clothing or avoid getting your clothes stolen in order to stay alive. Apparently, sunlight kills whoever has too much skin exposed to it, so people go around in fear of being naked outdoors. You can mess around in the streets or many shops in order to gain more melee weapons and clothing, or you can complete more optional objectives as a means of progressing through more parts of the city. It's definitely one of the weirder games on the list, but its presentation and premise definitely make it one of a kind. Before we get to number 1, here are some other games worth mentioning. This was the easiest choice for me personally. The Phantasy Star franchise houses my favorite MMO of all time, that being Phantasy Star Online 2 for the PC. The original 2 Phantasy Star portable games were released here in the West, however this title is a sequel to the second game, exclusive to Japan. Not only is it a sequel, but it even contains the entire second game within it, labeled as Episode 1. So you essentially have 2 games all together with an enormous amount of extra content, with more classes, outfits, weapons, stages, and quests than the original sequel. One of the best ways to play Phantasy Star is with a few friends around, which makes the game more fun and a lot less barren. You can play through the story missions, however, so whether you're alone or with a group, you can definitely have a great time grinding through the game. That doesn't even scratch the surface of what you can do either, but I'll let you check it out for yourself. Well, those were the top 10 Japanese games for the PSP. Please let me know if there's any other games you wanted to see on this list, and maybe I can make a follow-up video. Also, feel free to let me know how I can improve if there was something you weren't happy with. If you would like to know more about me, what I do, or what I look like, my social media links are there in the bottom right corner, as well as a video to the right if you want to see more than just games from me. This is UsagiShade, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Take care.